Hello and welcome to a new class. In this one, I'll be giving you 10 beautiful guitar chords. So without further wasting time, let's deep dive into what beautiful stuff we have to play over here. Let's go. Right, so we're zoomed in here on the fretboard and let's see what's our first beautiful chord that we're gonna learn. So this chord is called a G7 chord, or also known as G Major 7 Sus2. And here's how it sounds. So doesn't that sound really mellow and beautiful? Yes, it does. So let's see what are we doing over here. So with my middle finger at the very first, I'm holding the 3rd fret of the low E string or the 6th string, right? So basically my ring finger after that is going to the 3rd fret of the B string or the 2nd. And once more, my index finger is going on to the 2nd fret of the high E or the 1st string. So all total, 1st, 2nd, 3rd. 3 notes with the first 3 fingers, the index, the middle and the ring. Now if I play that, right? So basically I'm muting one string with the underneath of my middle finger, which I'm holding the 3rd fret on. So basically when I'm doing this kind of overlaps the A string. So the A string remains muted because it doesn't complement the sound of this G7 chord, right? So once more, E is ringing out and then we again play from the D string. So E, D, G, B, E, 5 strings. And also basically you can figure out melodies from this single chord. Beautiful done. So that's basically our first beautiful chord which we did. Now let's move on to the second chord and let's see what more beautiful things and treasures we have to unfold. Let's go. Alright, so this is our second most beautiful chord in this entire list, and this is a D Major 7 chord, as you can see on the diagram, and here's how it sounds. So warm and beautiful and welcoming chord, isn't it? So this is a D Major 7 chord, and yes, it's a 1 finger chord. So what are we doing over here? It's a really simple chord, alright? So the last 3 strings are indirectly the first 3 strings, the G, the B and the E string, which is the 3rd string, the 2nd string and the 1st, which is the G string, the B string and the high E or the 1st string. We are taking our index finger in this case and barring, which is holding all the 3 strings onto the 2nd fret on the guitar. So basically the G string, the B string and the E string, all the 3 strings are barred at the 2nd fret, and we play this chord from the A string over here. Once again, you can always make melodies out of these chords. For example, fantastic. This was our second most beautiful chord. Let's see what's our third one here. Right, so here's our third beautiful chord. So this chord is a C Major 7 Sus2. And here's how beautiful and luscious it sounds. Gorgeous. So I probably think you've already guessed that this shape looks similar to our very first beautiful chord we did, which was our G major 7, right? So yes, exactly, the G major 7 shape over on the 3rd position over here, we took it up to the 8th position. So now my middle finger is on the 8th fret of the E string, because this is the C note. My ring finger is on the 8th fret on the B or the 2nd string. My index finger is on the 7th fret of the 1st or the high E string, and I'm muting this time the A string. So I'm playing E, D, G, B, E. So the A string is only muted, again with the same technique, which is using the unused flesh or this muscular part over here underneath my middle finger. So here is how beautiful it sounds once again. So again, you can create melodies like use the G major 7 shape and use the C major 7 shape. Really very beautiful. Let's move on to our 4th beautiful chord and let's see what treasure we have over there. So here's our 4th beautiful chord, and this one is a really simple chord, and here's how heavenly this chord sounds. So basically this chord is called as a D13 Sus2, or as I like to call it, a C octave chord. First let's hear this and then I'll break it down for you. So here is how the D13 Sus2 sounds. Oh yes, that sounds heavenly. So what am I doing? I'm holding with my index finger on the 3rd fret of the 5th or the A string, which is the C note, and also, as I call it, an octave chord, which is technically not correct, but we can call it whatever we want. So with my pinky, I'm holding the same C note, but it's an octave apart or a certain pitch apart, which is on the 5th fret of the G string with my pinky. And all the other strings, the E, A, D, G, B, E, all the 6 strings are ringing out with these 2 notes held. So once again, my index finger is on the 3rd fret of the A string. My pinky is on the 5th fret of the G string. And together, this is how heavenly this chord sounds. Absolutely gorgeous. Now let's move on to our 5th beautiful chord. Let's go. Right, so here's our 5th beautiful guitar chord, and this is one of the most emotional chords I've played till now. Let's hear the chord and then, as always, I'll break it down for you. So here's how this beautiful chord sounds. Wow, beautiful. So what's happening here? Let's see. So this chord is kind of a quirky chord, and this one is called an F sharp minor add 9/11, right? So what's going on with my left hand on the fretboard over here? Let's see. So at the very first, this is an F sharp note, the 2nd fret of the low E or the 6th string. So I'm holding this one with my thumb right here. So it's a thumb over chord, right, with this part of my thumb, right? And once again, if you're not comfortable with this over the thumb technique, as always, don't worry, you can still play this chord without this. See, it's without the thumb, but this adds a bass, an F sharp note, a bass note to it. Anyway, so after this, the 2nd fret of the 6th string, we move on to the middle finger. So my middle finger and my ring finger is both on the 4th fret of the A and the D strings. So my thumb is on the 2nd of the low E or the 6th. My middle and the ring finger are on the 4th fret of the A and D strings. And this is kind of a stretch over here, which is my index finger is on the 2nd fret of the G string. And lastly, my pinky is on the 4th fret of the high E or the 1st string. So all together, step by step. So beautiful. Exactly, this B string or the 2nd string is ringing open. So once more, here's how beautiful this chord sounds. Gorgeous. Let's move on to our 6th beautiful chord and let's see what more fun we have over there. Let's go. Right, here's our 6th beautiful chord, and this chord kind of has a personality to it. As always, let's first hear how this chord sounds. Beautiful. So this chord right here is called an E add 9, and it sounds again beautiful. So what's happening over here? So basically we have our very normal E major chord. Yes, basically we're extending this 2nd fret note on the D string with our ring finger to the 4th fret with our pinky or the little finger. And it becomes an E add 9. So what are the notes? My middle finger is on the 2nd fret of the A or the 5th string. My pinky or the little finger is on the 4th fret on the D string. And lastly, my index finger is on the 1st fret of the G or the 3rd string. And of course, all of the strings can be played and it's ringing out open. You can create arpeggios and melodies like absolutely beautiful. Let's move on to our 7th chord. We're approaching the very end. Let's go ahead and see what's our 7th wonder over here. Let's go. Right, so here's our 7th heaven or the 7th beautiful chord, and this one sounds really ethereal. Let's see how this one sounds. Absolutely gorgeous. So this chord is named as a B add 11/D sharp. So it's basically a D sharp over a B. So basically my index finger is on the 6th of the 5th or the A string. So my pinky finger or the little finger is over at the 9th fret of the D string. My ring finger follows that and it's on the 8th fret this time on the G string or the 3rd string. And lastly, my middle finger is on the 7th fret of the B or the 2nd string. And yes, the high E string or the 1st string is ringing out open, and that gives it this personality. So once again, you can create beautiful melodies in this entire chord. Fantastic. Let's move on to our 8th beautiful chord. Let's go. So here's our 8th wonder or the 8th beautiful chord, and this is so once again taking the E major example to E9 or E add 9. Once again taking the A minor chord this time, our very old simple A minor chord. I'm taking my 3rd finger off of the 2nd fret of the G string and putting my pinky instead on the 4th fret of the G string, and it becomes an A minor add 9 chord. So my middle finger is on the D string 2nd fret, or the 4th string's 2nd fret. My index skips a string, the G, because we are holding the G over here, and it's on 1st fret of the B string. And lastly, my pinky is on the 4th fret of the G string. So D, G, B. And we can play this chord from the 5th string or the A string over here, and every other string rings out open except for the low E or the 6th. And here's once again how it sounds. Likewise, you can create beautiful strumming patterns of this. Once again, a very beautiful chord here. Now let's move on to our 9th beautiful chord, the last before the 10th. Let's go. Right, here's our 9th beautiful chord. And I gotta tell you at the very first, this sounds really, really gorgeous. Hear this out. Absolutely gorgeous. So this chord is a C sharp minor 7. It's fairly a simple chord. My index finger is on the 4th fret of the 5th or the A string. My ring finger and the pinky are both on the 6th fret of both the D and the G strings. And everything is ringing out open. So these two are ringing open, the B and the E. But we're not playing the E string over here, the low E string, because the sound of this low E string doesn't complement the sound of this one. See, it sounds out of context. Instead, we'll play from the 5th string over here. Beautiful. So do you want to know what's our 10th beautiful chord? Very well. Keep this entire shape really simple. Take your index finger off of the 5th string 4th fret and take it to the 2nd string's 4th fret, which is the B string. Everything else remains the same, and this chord sounds heavenly. Yes, and this chord is an A major 7 sharp 11. So C sharp minor 7 and an A major 7 sharp 11. So this is our 9th chord. Once again, here's our 10th chord. So if you combine the both, you can create mind-blowing arpeggios and melodies and harmonies out of this. Check this out. Absolutely gorgeous. There you complete your 10 beautiful chords. Congratulations! Well, you have just completed learning all of the 10 beautiful chords I have given in this entire class. Thank you so much for watching, and once again, don't forget to experiment with your own chords and voicings, and that may lead you and will lead you to finding more beautiful and ethereal chords. Once again, thank you so much for watching till the end, and I'll see you in the next class. Till then, have fun. Cheers.